Another big day in the Big 12, day 2 of Media Days in Arlington, Texas. We continue a pair of new head coaches stepping up to the podium today, including the new head man in Austin, Steve Sarkisian. But oh no! What's happened here? The most famous hair in college football down for the count, at least for right now. Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy has lost the mullet. 2018, by the way, the last time we saw something like this happen. Here's the coach.
I didn't really think it would be a big deal anymore, but I do get a lot of questions about it. But we've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm hoping that it'll still grow really fast and get back by the end of the season.
Happy to have you with us for day 2 of a new season here on College Football Live. Dusty Dvorak, Sam Acho are in Arlington, Texas. I'm Wendy Nix, and Andre Ware joins us shortly. And I think I can say, I'm double checking here, guys, no mullets here either. So we are a mullet-free zone right now until...
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, listen, in that case, while we wait on the new version of the mullet, we'll talk Texas. And in order to do that, we have to start at quarterback. Who will replace Sam Ehlinger? The QB, of course, provided the most stability at starting quarterback for the Longhorns since the days of Vince Young and Colt McCoy. While the starting quarterback position may be unsettled, one that's not in doubt, the running back. Sophomore Bijan Robinson returns last season, setting a Texas record for yards per carry in a season, 8.2. And then there's the new head man over the 40 acres, Steve Sarkisian. Here's Chris Biden with the coach.
Coach, you talk about the blueprint of having done this before. How is this time different taking over as a head coach of a program?
Well, I think the biggest thing when you get into it is recognizing there's going to be bumps in the road. We've all got a plan. There's going to be bumps in the road. Recognizing there's the bump, we don't need to overreact. Let's just solve the issue and keep moving forward. And I think that that's one of the key components. And the other one is recognizing keeping the focus on the players and their development, their buy-in to what we're trying to get done. And that is something that I've really been impressed with our team right now is the buy-in.
It's been an awesome transition. Coach Sark is just besides football, just a great dude. So just even having him, in our presence and just talking to us as a team and just as players and as men, we respect him a lot for that. And, it changes our team with the culture, and just the culture is just a lot different than, I don't know what it used to be, but as I've been here, it's been, great to be a part of him.
Andre Ware joins us now. And Andre, you heard Coach Sarkisian say he'd like to keep the focus on the players. So let's do that for just a minute and talk specifics. Who steps in, steps up for this Texas Longhorns team?
Well, I think it's got to be at the quarterback position, Wendy. Casey Thompson seems to have a lead in that competition coming out of the spring. The entire roster, they really rally around him. They played for him in the spring, really react to the way he is as a leader. 70% last year in limited duty. He threw 6 touchdown passes without an interception, set a bowl game record with 4 touchdown passes in that game. And Hudson Card is obviously competing with Casey Thompson. He has fantastic arm talent. So this is going to be a fantastic competition to watch as we get into 2021 for the Longhorns. But if they're going to turn the corner, it's going to be at the quarterback position. Consistency after Sam Ehlinger.
It all has to do with Steve Sarkisian. Yes, you need a good quarterback. Yes, you've got a great running back. Yes, you've got a building defense. But it's all about the head coach, and especially at a school like the University of Texas, which annually grosses, it's the richest school in the nation. And so I have a friend who always says, hey, follow the money. There's a lot of pressure with that money. There are people who are pulling at you. And so it's got to be with Steve Sarkisian, hands down. He's coached great quarterbacks in his past. He's led them to successful seasons, setting records either number 1 or number 2 for their schools, and I think he will do that once again.
Speaking of money, I see you with that green suit,
Had
Sam,
to show
looking
hey, it's
good.
The money suit. It's the money suit.
Hey, of course, you're going to talk offense. And to me, it's about the defense. Look, last year, Texas averaged over 42 points a game. It was defensively where they had their struggles. Insert Pete Kwiatkowski coming from Washington. And the numbers his defense has put up there over a 7-year span were stellar. Led the entire Pac-12 in points per game, as well as yards per game, second and third down. Steve Sarkisian wants a disruptive front that's going to create negative plays, ball hawks that are going to take the ball away, and a defense that's going to keep offenses out of the end zone. That's what he gets with Pete Kwiatkowski. And he's got a defensive line starting with sophomore Alfred Collins that I think has got a chance to be much improved. That front will pave the way for DeMarvion Overshone and that defense to step up. If Texas is going to be much improved this year, it needs to be on the defensive side with the addition of Pete Kwiatkowski.
You know, it's interesting. That all makes sense. As much as we try to talk about this team without talking about the head coach, you just can't help yourself because that is a storyline. I mean, let's face it, the whole country's looking at this program and what Sarkisian might do. So I will ask this. Andre, I'll start with you. You know, what is success in year one? Because we know you build a program, although he comes in with a lot of pieces in place. What is a year one success story for Steve Sarkisian in this Longhorns program?
Yeah, a lot that play close attention to the program are going to say, hey, it's beat Oklahoma, get us in contention for a Big 12 title. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think 9, 10, 11-win season without the Oklahoma win is a successful season for Steve Sarkisian. When you look at it in its totality, it's just get Texas back winning first. Then you attack the bully on the block, which is obviously Oklahoma. So take care of the things first. They may be close to Oklahoma. Who knows? Oklahoma dropped 2 games last year. So he gets close this year or to Iowa State and wins the rest of them. I deem that a successful year for Texas.
I hate ever putting numbers on wins for a coach in their first year, but this is what we're doing here. It's 9 wins for me. He needs to win 9 going into a bowl game with a chance to win 10. How about this? The great Texas Longhorns have had 1 10-win season in the last 10 years. If he can get to 9 in the regular season with a chance to win 10, that's success, and that's something that Longhorn fans will be fired up and excited about heading into year 2.
Yeah, if Texas wants to be successful, you have to beat Oklahoma not once, but twice. That's real success. Okay. Andre talked about the bully on the block. I remember growing up, I'm a big brother. I got a little brother. If anybody was picking on my little brother, you'd have to come and see me. Right? So you got to beat the bully on the block. And Oklahoma is the bully of the Big 12. So beat them in the regular season. And obviously, if you're going to beat them twice, that means you're showing up again in the Big 12 championship. Not just 1 win, but 2 wins against Oklahoma for Steve Sarkisian.
Well, said a different way, as we said yesterday, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And if you weren't with us, whether you're talking about FPI or you're talking about the media selections, Oklahoma clearly the heavy favorite in this conference for a 6th straight year. So we shall see. Still to come on college football as we continue from Big 12 Media Days in Arlington, Texas. Who is the top quarterback in the conference? We'll talk big arms in the Big 12 when we come back. The answer may surprise you. And there are answers, and then there's what you really mean. We translate for some of our coaches in the Big 12 we're talking about this week. Earlier, we heard from Steve Sarkisian. He enters his first season as the new head coach at Texas. Dave Aranda will be starting year number 2 at Baylor. But don't forget the other first-year head coach in the conference, Lance Leipold. He takes over at Kansas.
Our expectation is it will be very similar to other places that we've been, is that we're going to expect and want our players to continue to work on daily improvement. We have to be a program that's going to take care of the finer points of the game and continue to build consistency and confidence in each and everything that we do.
Leipold takes over a program that, aside from a stretch in the mid to late 2000s, hasn't had a whole lot to cheer about. Since the Big 12 began play in '96, no team in the conference has a lower winning percentage than does Kansas, which has finished at or above 500 just 4 times during that time. And that includes the '07 team, which went 12-1, though, and did win the Orange Bowl. There's a lot of questions about the culture, about the future of this program. Sam, what can we expect from Lance Leipold?
Well, you can expect the 3 C's from Lance Leipold. You're going to see culture, you're going to see competition and consistency. So I was in Buffalo 2 years ago in 2019. I was with the Bills for a bit. I got released from the Bills. I was looking for a place to train, and all of a sudden I went to a team chapel of the Buffalo Bulls, the college football team. The coach, Lance Leipold, met me and said, hey, come train with our guys. So I spent an entire season with that team, and I saw culture firsthand. Not only did Lance Leipold lead his Division III team to an 106 record and 6 national titles. Yes, he was the fastest coach to reach 100 wins, but he also led the Buffalo Bulls to 3 consecutive bowl games and a 10-win season. And so, yes, it's going to take time, but you're going to see the 3 C's. Culture, I saw that firsthand. Consistency, the way those guys grind, and competition. They will compete every single day.
Yeah, Sam, and how does that play out on the field for Kansas? Well, you go back to Buffalo, and he's a proven winner. I love having coaches get jobs where they've done more with less, and then all of a sudden they get these flashy new toys, and that being a Power 5 job at Kansas like Coach Leipold has, and then they do it there as well. So this will be fun to watch. But how do they do it on the field? Well, last year they led the nation in sacks given up or sacks allowed, and then they came back and was second in the nation in rushing. So that's the consistency part that you talked about. Give him time at Kansas. This will be a fun program in a couple of years for winning. He's won 146 games as a head coach. The man knows how to coach football. He knows how to develop talent. He will do that at Kansas.
He certainly will. And what you have to have here is a little bit of patience, which in college football, any
Yes.
level of football, you know, is not always the most common attribute. But you know what? Let's give this program and this coach some time. We switch gears now, go back to Oklahoma State. We showed you the mullet, or I should say the lack thereof. We're going to talk a little bit about the quarterback, Spencer Sanders, who enters his fourth year in the program, his third year as the quarterback of the Cowboys. And you can tell you what, they're going to want to throw early and often. 14 touchdowns, 8 picks last season. That's something they'd like to see improve, and head coach Mike Gundy thinks that's exactly what they will see, some change this season.
We've been very impressed and excited about Spencer's development. My personal opinion is last year, the spring ball that he missed and summer conditioning because of COVID set him back. And I feel like that the 2 months that we watched him over spring ball, he's developed more than he has in 2 years.
Listen, Sam, you play for Mike Gundy, you got to throw the football. That we know. Of course, quarterbacks want to do that. You agree that we'll see some significant change from the quarterback?
Yeah, you will. You'll see Spencer Sanders shine. But who I'm most excited about is a dude named Max Duggan at TCU. Everybody knows the song My Dougie. My Duggan. Call him My Duggan because this dude is going to make plays. Yes, he's a quarterback, and quarterbacks are known for throwing the ball, but look at this guy's rushing stats. He can run the ball. I talked to him yesterday at Big 12 Media Day. This dude knows how to win, and that's what you're going to see from Max Duggan this season.
Well, another winner, Sam, is at Iowa State and Brock Purdy. And, you know, if you, as a quarterback from having played that position, if you beat me, especially late in the game late in the season in a big game, I spend the entire offseason going over film clips, how to get back at Oklahoma. If I'm Brock Purdy, I expect that from him. I expect his game to really elevate this year. Over 9,000 career yards passing, 62 touchdown passes. He is a winner as well, my man. He's 22-11 in his time in Ames, and I expect big things from Brock Purdy this season in Iowa State.
Andre, keep it quick. A yes or no answer. Is he the quarterback you take in the Big 12 other than Spencer Rattler if you have to take one?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
Wendy.
Okay.
Yes,
absolutely is a fair choice as well. Andre, thanks for being with us. We look forward to a great season. We'll see a lot more
Thank
of you
you
for sure. All right, fellas who are in Arlington. All right, you know what? You know this. You both played. You know coaches don't always say exactly what they mean. We can't. By the way, we can't blame them. You got to play your cards, right? But we're going to help out with a little segment we called what they really meant. Okay, we're a little translation, if you will. And we'll start with Coach Lincoln Riley. Here's what he had to say about Oklahoma dominating the Big 12, and then we'll translate.
Certainly good to see everybody back here in Arlington. Good to be back in our second home here.
And do you want your players to think that y'all just own this conference?
We could go a lot of ways with that one. We have a lot of respect for this league. We have a lot of respect for what it takes to win this league. And it's not, I think a lot of times on the outside, it's people just think it's a given. And it's anybody that thinks that doesn't know college football. You know, they haven't been inside the ropes. They don't understand it. It takes so much and it's so hard. And everybody's a good coach and everybody has good players.
All right, so the non-answer and again, you can't blame. What did he really mean, guys?
What he meant was what you said. They're the biggest bully on the block, right? And that's what he meant, because it was a super flex on the entire league. His second
Super
home,
flex, I
here's
like
the
it.
deal. It ain't bragging. All he's doing is telling the truth, because in his 4 years as head coach, he's been here 4 straight times. And as you mentioned, Wendy, they're picked to win it yet again, a 7th straight season. So it ain't bragging if you can back it up, Sam.
Hey, I want y'all, speaking of backing it up, I want y'all to peep his facial expressions. If you're watching at home, press that rewind button and go watch Lincoln Riley's facial expressions on that second question. He said, it could go a couple different ways, i.e., I run this, i.e., I run this. And so what he really meant to say was, hey, I run this conference, we run this conference, and every single one of my players believe it.
Listen, I've always said we should do a show where we all say what we really think. I mean, it would be the last show. I get it. But, you know, it would be fun for a hot minute. Here's one more with Chris Kleeman, and then we'll translate again.
I've got so much respect for Lincoln and his staff and his team, and they're a great team, and they deserve to be on top because of their body of work. It's not a one-game season. It's a body of work, and Lincoln and Oklahoma have proven that year in and year out, that they're the elite team in our conference.
So the question in that case, guys, you didn't hear the question, but the question was, do you own Oklahoma? Okay, that was his answer because there's been some success there. What do you really mean?
Well, he's 2-0 against Lincoln Riley. Give him props, man. The man has done his job and done it well. But that right there, he's not trying to make them mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows that bear is awake, and he's not trying to poke the bear. You don't want to poke the bear, Wendy. Never poke the bear when that is a bad bear in front of him. Chris Kleiman knows the best way for Kansas State and him to get that third victory against Oklahoma is to sneak up on them and not let them know they're coming. No reason to wake a bear that's already mad.
Hey, Wendy, I don't know if you've ever been like set up, like had a setup question, right? We were sitting here listening. It was a setup question. Do you all own OU? There was no questions asked. He was not going to fall for the setup. So he meant exactly what he said. No, give OU their props. I'm not about to sit here and give them some bulletin board material. We're not about to wake up this sleeping giant, better yet, this giant that is wide awake, that's won the Big 12 the last 6 years. No, sir, you are not setting me up. I'm telling you exactly what I mean today.
Listen, you can file that under not his first rodeo. He knows better than that, and you're right. That giant isn't sleeping. It is wide awake. Another bit of news to come out of the Big 12 today, although it's something that comes up, I think, every year this time of year, and that is taunting. It will be a priority, a point of emphasis, actually, they call it, for the league. What we did learn today is that includes the horns down symbol. And if you do it, if a player does it to a player, if it's directed on the field, they say you will likely be penalized. That will be a penalty because it is considered taunting, guys. Player to player.
So
They said maybe not if you do it to the stands, but player to player it will be.
What about commentator to commentator?
Can I hit you with this?
I will say this, right? It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. Y'all know I played a little bit in Texas. It hurts my heart. But my deal is this. When you're on the field, you have to win the game. If you don't want people to taunt you or to make fun of you or to laugh at you, just win. Simple as that. Don't give up any touchdowns. Win the game, and you'll be A-okay.
My biggest thing is, as a player, we used to always hit them with the horns down, but I had no idea it actually upset the players. And, like, to me, if you're going to get in someone's face and put the horns down and taunt them, I don't like taunting. Don't show up your opponent. But if you're celebrating, if you're in the fans with, or you're on your own sideline celebrating with your teammates, you should be able to put the horns up, put the horns down, do whatever you want. There's an F in football, and there's an F in fun, man. Let's have some fun out there.
And the best thing I would say, and the best flex, you talk about super flex, the best super flex I ever had was someone pointing at the scoreboard. I was playing Earl Thomas in Arizona. He was playing for Seattle. We were down 56-3. I was trying to talk about my production. He literally pointed up at the scoreboard. I had nothing else to say.
Say no more.
Not at 56-3. And Dusty, come on, what do you think? They like the horns down?
I didn't know it really upset them and like they couldn't sleep at night, Wendy. I mean, they don't mind putting the horns up in everyone else's face. You know what I mean?
There's no crying in football. We're not going to start today, that's for sure. I tell you what we are going to do, Dusty, is talk a little defense. Those defensive players need some love too. We got Dusty.